Hello and welcome to my channel. Icebreak Inc. is here, and today I have another update to my game MorphaVerse. I am developing a monster taming round-based combat deck building game. In the last video I introduced you to the battle system, and I'm now starting to implement the overworld. If you are interested in the devlog, simply subscribe to my channel and like the video so that others also have the opportunity to find out about the project. Oh, and by the way, the game can already be wishlisted on Steam. Firstly, I thought I wanted to generate the overworld, so I started creating 3D objects in Blender that would serve as a terrain. I imported these objects into Unity and let a capsule walk on the terrain as a player. To follow the player with the camera, I imported the Unity package Cinemachine and simply let the camera follow the player at a certain angle and position. After I imported the object and was finally able to move my capsule on it, I wanted to make the textures a little nicer. So I bought a package from the Unity Asset Store that offers some textures that are useful for this. This package not only has textures, but also low poly terrain objects such as plants, trees or stones. I simply used the textures from the package for my terrain models, and the result looked like this. At the beginning I thought, okay, let's see how this develops further. Next I wanted to bring more life to the scene by adding grass, trees and stones to my terrain. I also tried to take performance into account, and so far I'm still satisfied with the performance. The shadows and objects still look strange, but for now I'll leave it that way. In order to test the performance even better, I multiplied the terrain and inserted it into my scene. You can also see that Unity doesn't have any real problems with this in terms of performance. To make the overworld look a little nicer and more interactive, I wanted to add an effect when the player runs through the grass. I used the Unity particle system to do this, and after a few errors, the result looks like this. This means the world doesn't seem so empty, and it gives me insight into how I can design the overworld. Now I wanted to exchange my player capsule for a better 3D object. Since I'm not good at modeling myself and I don't have the time to do everything by myself, I looked for possible modular 3D characters on the Unity Asset Store. I found this asset from Downrain DC. It looks a bit extreme because the player doesn't always have to walk around with a shield and a sword, but I think it looks better than a capsule. This means that a potential player can at least slowly get an idea of what the game will look like. At this point I didn't really like the terrain that I created, and I wanted to try another method, namely the Unity Terrain tool. I used it to create a 3D terrain. After a short training period, I was able to work with it in such a way that it could be sufficient for my game. For the textures, I of course used the textures I bought, one for the grass and one for the rocks. When I added my plants to make it look a little better, the player object was also added. The next step was to add monsters to the grass field. For the monster, I used the package from Meshtint, the monster called Metalon. It is freely available and is perfect for testing. The monster should just move freely in a certain area, and if they get too close to me or to the player, a fight can break out. So that the player has more feedback about what is currently happening, I added event symbols above the monsters. A question mark if the monster behaves more defensively, or a call sign if the monster attacks. The last step for now was to implement a battle transition, what we have in, for example, Pokemon. For that I used the black images on the UI, which are cutting the scene when the battle begins. So that's it for the update. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next step I will implement further elements into my game. As soon as I have something new, I will make a video about this. If you are interested, just subscribe to my channel and hopefully we will see each other next time. Bye bye.